Writers. Today I want to teach you that writers take their time with endings, weighing and considering and revising until they find one that fits. They know a satisfying ending will tie up loose ends, resolve the unresolved difficulties, and bring home the story's meaning. When you were little, if you were anything like the little kids that I know, you probably ended your stories like this, with big letters that read "The End." As you got older, maybe third or fourth grade, you knew that that wasn't the way to end. That usually there would be some final action that brought your stories to a close. But sometimes you would create a big mess in your stories and you weren't sure how to clean it up. So you just plopped in something magical or unbelievable to end your stories, like Superman flying in and saving the day. If you were in fourth grade writing our story, I might have a parent enter the scene and interrupt Esmeralda's uncomfortable conversation at the party with a line like this: "Stop saying mean things about people." That way, the discomfort would end, and Esmeralda wouldn't have to do any of the hard work that comes from getting into that kind of a jam. But you're older now. You're adolescents, almost adults, and you've lived more and read more. And you know life doesn't work like that. Sometimes stories end happily, sometimes they end sadly. But no one swoops in at the last minute to save the day. The main character, whether it's you in your life or a fictional character in a book or a movie, must do something at the end of the story to make it end in a way that feels satisfying. These moments can be big or small. Of course, there are other things writers do as well to craft strong endings, ones that make readers swoon and call for more. To write these endings, these sort of endings, it helps to know a few principles of good endings. To write an ending worthy of all the work you've put into your writing, you can do a few things. Some principles of crafting quality endings for fictional narratives. I want you to think for a second about the clip that you saw at the beginning of this lesson from Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. As you watched, I'm wondering what you thought about the ending. Did you recognize some use of strategies from the start? Or which ones did you notice? Just a quick reminder, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is the first book and movie in the series. At the start of it, Harry lives with his aunt and uncle and cousin relatives who treat him unkindly. Under Professor Dumbledore's orders, Hagrid takes Harry to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, where Harry befriends Hermione and Ron. Together, the friends get involved in a mysterious battle with Voldemort, who is acting through a Hogwarts teacher to get at the Sorcerer's Stone. Now, taking a look at the ending, which things from the chart do you think you see? If you haven't already read through the list, pause the video and make sure you read these tips before you start thinking about how you would answer that question. Now, did you notice how this ending scene captures the connection between Harry and his family and between Harry and his friends? It highlights one big thing that this movie is about: the power of love. That goes with the first thing on this chart. And did you notice too that by presenting a confident, happy Harry in the final scene, this film shows him evolved from the miserable kid he was at the start? This gets at the third point. The film's ending also addresses point 3 by giving Harry something he didn't have at the start of the story and desperately wanted: knowledge of his parents, which the photo from Hagrid represents. This then develops that big part of the plot, the choice to end with the image of Harry and his friends at the train station, leaving Hogwarts. It ties back to the beginning of the story. Harry didn't get on the train in the very first scene of the movie, but it was in the first third of the movie toward the start, which reminds us that endings can connect back to the beginning without being exactly the first paragraph. The scene also provides resolution because we get to see Harry surrounded by love and friends, which he hasn't when he was living under the stairs at the Dursleys. We know also through the waving photo album that his parents' love is always with him, even if they can't be physically with him. Harry's problems aren't all resolved, but there is a satisfying feeling of a closure of sorts. See how finely crafted stories have finely crafted endings? Every single decision surrounding this final scene was carefully made with consideration for wrapping things up, for bringing the character and the plot to the end of their arc, for bringing out the story's message, and for giving the viewer a satisfying conclusion. That goes right alongside what you know makes a good ending.